Sharon Kaur is standing by. She's a Liberal strategist, and she's a partner at Sovereign Advisory. Sharon, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time today.
Happy to be here, Todd.
All right, so what's at stake for Carney, do you think, in his first question period?
Well, I think this is where the politics truly start now. We saw yesterday with Throne's speech, which I think was this really big uniting moment for Canadians, part of like the tone and tenor, bringing the temperature down and having the king there. And we didn't hear any crazy rhetoric come out yesterday. But today, with question period, I always like to say question period is kind of theatrical. It's a place where opposition members can get their sound bites. They can claim to try to hold people to account, but it's truly a bit of this gamesmanship of can they get underneath the prime minister's skin? And I think that's what they're going to try to do. That being said, a lot of people have not been politicians before and do question period. And, it takes a little bit of practice and time to get there. But I think that having seen how the prime minister has handled some of the opposition to this point, I think we might be in for a surprise for some folks.
I think it's fair to say that there is sometimes a lot of grandstanding that goes on in question period from all sides, a lot of hot air. You're right, things get personal. Mark Carney has been accused of being a little thin-skinned, Sharon, and I just want to get your read. During the campaign, there were some, situations with the media where he sort of was sharp with his answers. And again, that might come from the fact that, it takes a while before you realize the sort of cut and thrust that goes on in politics with the media, who sometimes ask you tough questions. And of course, the opposition members, including Pierre Poilievre, of course, who may really try to go after the jugular. We'll see how it plays out. But that issue for Carney, is that something for him to be concerned about?
Well, listen, I would say, I know I've heard this comment from people around him having a thin skin. I wouldn't call it a thin skin. I think that he has a no-nonsense approach. And some people, you can go back to any single day in question period where people essentially are saying things that are purely hubris or just, they don't mean anything and it's all theatrics. And if his response back is short and sweet or short and blunt, I don't think that necessarily means that it's an issue of thin skin. It's just that he's not there for the nonsense. He's there to actually get stuff done. And of course, there's going to be moments that you have to try to kind of play that game where you don't react or let people know you're getting under their skin. But I think that I'm all okay with having a bit of a change in tone and tenor where it's not about the nonsense. And if someone's going to ask him a dumb or silly or offensive or whatever type of question or make a comment, if his response is short and blunt, so be it.
Someone who will not be there is, of course, Pierre Poilievre, because he doesn't have a seat. He lost his seat in the Ottawa area. We'll see how that plays out in the months ahead in terms of getting a seat in Alberta, likely. But for now, the leader of the Conservatives will not be there. How does that change the dynamic? How does that change sort of the atmosphere in the House?
Well, it definitely changes the atmosphere in the sense that they don't have their chief pitbull, right? Pierre Poilievre, despite having lost his seat, he is a very good communicator as an opposition leader because he sticks to his message. Now, is it an effective message? Not necessarily, but we do have Andrew Scheer, who is the interim leader, who was also previously the leader, and he also has a bit of this style of kind of poking the bear and being a bit obnoxious in question period. So I don't think we're going to be missing anything from that perspective. I do think it's a loss for the Conservatives not to have their leader in the House, and it's to the advantage of the Liberals. But don't expect someone like Andrew Scheer to not throw punches. I think he's going to view this as his opportunity to go head-to-head with the Prime Minister. And to be honest, sometimes it comes off as a little immature, and I think that's what we're going to see here.
Sharon Kaur joining us, Liberal strategist. Hey, thanks for this, Sharon. And just a quick note, thanks for all the times you came on the show during the election campaign itself. It was great to have you with your insights and your knowledge. Yeah, we'll talk again soon.